Okay. Wait, I have to burp. Okay. Sorry. Max, please don't include that. Okay. Welcome to Talk Petty to Me.
I really gotta practice.
This is Katie Novotny.
This is Jamie Bliss. And this is Talk Petty to Me.
I already said welcome to Talk Petty to Me.
Sorry.
This is where we talk about being petty. This is a safe space to talk about being petty because we all feel it and we pretend like we don't. Pettiness is fine.
I do feel like it's kind of like letting air, like poking a tiny little hole in a balloon. It just like lets tension out a little bit of your body.
Have you been thinking about that?
I guess. Or yeah. I'm just thinking about acupuncture now. But it's like, that's anger that we hold on to, which we do. When we let ourselves be a little bit petty sometimes, it's a little bit of like letting the air out of the balloon.
Because what pettiness is...
Just guess.
Pettiness is like look it up yourselves. Pettiness is like the baby schadenfreude you feel when a wrong gets righted, or like someone who has wronged you gets a teeny bit of what's coming to them. It's revenge if it didn't believe in itself.
Yeah, it's a light form of justice.
Justice. We are honestly, we're justice warriors.
You are.
This week I'm gonna tell you a story about this person I dated.
Okay.
I'm not gonna call him an ex, and I'm not gonna call him a man, because he's neither of those things. I have talked about him at storytelling shows, so I'm going to have to try to find a way to abbreviate this story because there is a version of it that is 8.5 minutes, and that's not necessary.
Okay.
We can link to it.
That's a great idea.
If you want the full version of the story.
Right here.
There's no link that exists yet.
We'll make it.
Okay. 3 weeks before I left Chicago, we started...
Give me a timeline.
It's 2018.
Imagine.
I'm 3 weeks from moving away from Chicago back to Los Angeles. I had at that time only dated and or slept with one person. We started like hooking up basically like before I moved back to LA. And it became this like really intense thing.
How did you guys meet?
His doing. We met through, I don't want to tell you. Okay. We met through improv. We had known each other for a long time. He was always in a relationship and I was always like, why do I enjoy talking to this person? Because I didn't physically understand it. Okay. But then out of nowhere, he was like sliding into my DMs and kept asking me to hang out. And like, he had my phone number, to be clear. So why he was in my DMs
Maybe he didn't save it.
No, he saved it. I think he was like trying to send a message.
Interesting.
I think the point was like, I'm purposely in your DMs, not texting you. So we did that for way too long. And then I was like, I'm moving. So if you like actually want to hang out, you got to like get off the pot.
Can you give me like when this started, this DM slide started happening to when, like how when that happened?
Beginning of summer.
And then you were moving in the fall?
I moved October 22nd of 2018.
Okay.
So now we're 3 weeks out, blah, 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 blah. We end up start hooking up. And we'd had a very explicit conversation of like, I'm leaving in 3 weeks. Can you like not talk to anybody else until I'm gone? Because like germs and also like anxiety. And he was like, I'm also, with like, you. It's 3
decent
weeks.
Human stuff.
That's not for an improviser. It's too high expectations. And he was like, when would I even do that? I'm with you every day. And he was like, we were together every day. I like took him on my goodbye tour of Chicago. Like
3
we were
full
not
weeks to every day.
We were not separated.
Damn. Okay.
I know that it escalated because of him, because every other person I'd ever dated told me that they didn't even know I liked them until after we were broken up.
Interesting.
Because
you just are cool. You play it too cool.
Yeah. Because I think that telling somebody you like them is desperate.
I think it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
I think it's so embarrassing. I'm like, I would never tell someone that I like them.
If I'm not telling you to go away, just it's enough.
Actually, you know what I would do is I would wait a couple months.
And then you would slide into his DMs.
No, and then I would see if I would see him again. I take my time laying groundwork. It's like one piece of wood at a time.
How's that working?
Very badly. This is why people like want baseball to go move faster, because it's so boring.
You're playing baseball.
Yeah, it's so embarrassing. That's why I don't relate to the reality shows and like how they all are like hooking up with each other. I'm like, but how?
And then just like hanging out.
Yeah, it's so weird to me.
I guess that's why we're not on a reality show. It'd be the most boring reality. We'd be like at the bar talking to nobody.
Yeah, I'd be like, leave me alone.
Why? What do you want?
Excuse me, I'm talking to my friend.
We're busy. I went to SUR with friends because we were doing like the Bravo tour. And I got ignored standing at the bar for literally 30 minutes because women with boob jobs kept coming up to the bar next to me. And I was like, I have money and I would like to give it to you.
Do you remember when we went together when I was like visiting LA with Courtney?
Yeah,
we went I had to like serve ourselves.
We went to Pump.
I had to like be our server because everyone was ignoring us.
Yeah, we were like sitting at that back table.
I was like, let me bust this. I'll put these tables together.
There's that masculine energy. Just taking care of business.
I was like, I can't deal with this place.
It's awful. Well, Pump
also
has closed.
So dark. It did.
Pump closed.
Yes.
SUR is still open.
Yes. Justice.
They combined it.
You found it.
We found it. We're hooking up. We had a conversation about not hooking with other people. We saw him all the time. I know he escalated it to a very real place because I would never do that because it's embarrassing, as evidenced by the tangent we just went on. He would be like, I miss you. I want to, like in the middle of the day, he would like text me, I miss you. He's like, I want to spoil you, which like he did not have a job. So I don't know how he was planning to do that. But
affection costs nothing and it means so much.
I don't want to be spoiled with affection. I want to be spoiled with things.
Put it on a pillow.
Spoil me with things?
Yeah.
Shove your affection.
Yeah.
So then I moved on Monday. The Wednesday before I left, he was supposed to come over. And he had like asked me like that Sunday before I leave, he's like, can you and I spend the day alone and just do something really special? Which is like...
That's cute.
But I lived in Chicago for 10 years and I was going to give this person the last day in Chicago to like...
That's a big ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was going to drive me to the airport on Monday. Like it became a thing. Anyway, so that Wednesday he was supposed to come over and he went to some party and blah, blah, blah. Long story short.
Wednesday night party?
It was like some rap party for something. Okay. I don't know. He ended up hooking up with someone at the party. Yeah.
I'm so old now.
He hooked up with someone at the party, ignored me all night, slept over, hooked up with her again in the morning because he, quote, didn't want her to feel bad, ignored me all day Thursday, hooked up with someone else Thursday night.
What?
And then Friday, I was like, the amount of rage texting I had been doing was... Like, I was...
How did you find out?
10 texts shy of being on the news.
Yeah.
Like, woman sense. So he finally came over to talk, and he was like, oh, well, yeah, like, sometimes when I'm happy, I burn it all down to, like, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, okay. At some point during that conversation, I made him cry. And I experienced a sense of joy I did not know physically possible. And I truly, in that moment, was like, oh, am I petty? Like, that was the day.
Beginning.
2018, October 2018.
That's when this podcast started, without us knowing.
We didn't know. I mean, I truly, like, had a moment where I was like, oh, I'm a petty Like, I felt joy watching him cry.
Watching the tears drip.
Because I had been agonizing over this person who felt nothing for me. Nothing.
Yeah.
No respect, no remorse, no nothing. So the fact that he even if he was faking it, even if it was fake tears, and I don't think he's that good of an actor, it felt worth it to me.
That side smile.
You
had to say it. In that Friday conversation is when he told you.
Because I asked and asked and
you were
asked
like,
and asked
where
and
were
asked.
you? In person, he told you, not over text.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I had to ask repeatedly because I was like, first it was like, oh, we just made out on the dance floor. And I was like, you hate dancing. You haven't gone out with me 3 times this week because you don't want to go dancing. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, that honestly almost hurts more than the makeout.
That's true.
Yeah. And then at first they didn't have sex, and then they had sex twice, and then Thursday.
How did he find another person on Thursday?
I guess it was someone who was already like in the rotation. But I had to like ask pointed questions. Like, he was not, like, even if I had said like, oh, did you have sex again Thursday? Like, I had to ask the exact right question to get the answer that you know what I mean? Like, I was pulling information out of him because he was not going to give it to me. So that was the day. That's honestly my origin.
Your origin story. Your
my
petty origin
being
story.
Petty. I think the other week I told my origin story of stand-up, which is based on my origin story of being petty. They all revolve around boys.
This was brought to us by our friend and editor, Max, who was telling us about how the Michigan basketball team came in last place this past season. If you recall, Michigan was the national champion in football.
Why is that in air quotes?
Because they cheated last season.
Cheat?
Because they would film rivals' practices undercover and spy on other teams and then make their plays based on that.
It worked for Bring It On.
That was
and
also,
we won anyway, so everyone can suck it.
And he was like, I'm so glad that they came in dead last in basketball. Like, that was his little bit of karmic retribution. In sports, I feel like it's so good in sports. There's so many instances where you're like, yeah.
But the joke's on Max because I don't care about sports that much. So the fact that he feels better is irrelevant to me.
In one of the leagues that we play in, you're like that guy's such a, like, there's one team that's just like they're so mean. Whenever they lose, it's like you're just like, yeah, man,
you feel better.
I feel so much better.
Yeah. Say intramural softball 5 times fast.
Intramural softball, intramural softball, intramural softball, intramural softball, intramural softball.
Okay, well, I'm not an athlete. And
I say it. I've been saying it a lot my whole life.
I could say Bravo TV.
There you go. And then that same team, they're like checking on people's bats to make sure they're legal, and you're like, what level do you think we're at?
It's intramural. You need to chill out. Okay.
See you next time, hopefully.
What Lisa Vanderpump said when Vanderpump Rules premiered is that Villa Blanca is where you take your wife and SUR is where you take your mistress. SUR stands for Sexy Unique Restaurant. It's an acronym. Swallow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. How embarrassing.
Incredible. You mean incredible.